a voice, and we have to take it.
Thank you so much, Maria. You're an absolute powerhouse. Speaking of granddaughters who will stand up for their reproductive rights, here I am to give my speech. So my name is Riley Hott. I'm 23 years old, and I'm from Parkersburg, West Virginia. And I just graduated from WVU. And since March of last year, I have been organizing with Unpack to pass the Freedom to Vote Act, a bill that Senator Manchin co-sponsored as a compromise to the For the People Act. The Freedom to Vote Act would have exposed dark money in our elections, made Election Day a federal holiday, put polling places on our college campuses, ended partisan gerrymandering, and would have given us same-day and automatic voter registration options. On January 20th, on the 8th and last day of my second hunger strike for democracy, the day of my second arrest at the Senate, and the day after Manchin failed to end the filibuster to pass his own bill, I gave this speech outside the Capitol. I then gave my speech again when I blockaded the coal plant where Manchin profits over $500,000 a year. I'd like to share it with y'all because for a third time, apparently Manchin hasn't heard me yet. As a native West Virginian who just graduated with my bachelor's in psychology and a minor in addiction studies from WVU, I care very deeply about mental health and addiction recovery resources in our state. I have had countless loved ones who struggle with the disease of addiction, and many of them have sadly not found recovery. The feeling of knowing that your loved one is potentially close to death and cannot find an accessible, affordable, or comfortable place to receive proper mental health treatment is the worst feeling in the world, and I know it is an extremely common experience for West Virginians, which pains me for our state. I pray every day for my friends who are struggling and for the families who have lost loved ones to addiction. However, prayers are clearly not sufficient. Our state continues to lead the nation in opioid overdoses and overdose deaths. Any progress in mental health treatment is being stunted by the pharmaceutical industry, which, according to Open Secrets, led the numbers in lobbying payouts in 2020, spending over $306 million on our politicians. That was over twice as much as the second top lobbying industry. To further explain how drastic the pharmaceutical companies have impacted our home state, in Appalachian counties there were 84 opioid prescriptions per 100 residents from 2006 to 2017. And in Mercer County alone, there were 102 prescriptions per 100 people. Addiction is a systemic issue, and it should be acknowledged as the fault of a failing healthcare system, corporate greed, and our failing government that continues to put the needs of corporations and billionaires before the needs of their constituents. On top of the greed of Big Pharma, the coal barons in this state, just like Senator Manchin, have allowed workplace conditions to remain unsafe, have allowed for our main industry to die out without a replacement, and have extracted our resources and labor just for their own wallet. Senator Manchin will claim that he makes decisions based on partisan collaboration and compromise, but I have watched him claim to be compromising while just letting the bills die with the excuse that he tried so hard to reach across the aisle, but it just couldn't be done. He will claim that he's communicating with West Virginians, but he has not once spoken to me or Unpack himself, despite us consistently requesting constituency meetings. The truth is, he does not care about our futures. He cares about his future as a millionaire and as an oligarch. Senator Manchin, I was president of Unpack WVU. I have knocked on thousands of doors and gotten hundreds of calls to your office. I went without food for a cumulative 23 days in a hunger strike for democracy. I encouraged WVU's SGA to pass their letter of support for the Freedom to Vote Act, and I have been arrested twice, and I even ran for office just to show you how deeply urgent the Freedom to Vote John R. Lewis Act is to upholding our American values of freedom and equality. Today, I risk arrest again because just as you've let voting rights and John Lewis's legacy and last piece of legislation die, you've let West Virginians die from overdoses, from black lung disease, from a lack of mine safety, from inaccessible and expensive health care, and the list goes on. I will continue to organize fellow young West Virginians to get big money out of politics and build power for our generation and our needs, because you, Senator Manchin, have failed to do either of those things since your re-election. Your failure to pass meaningful democracy reform or climate legislation should make you ashamed to face your constituents.
That's right.
You should be ashamed to face constituents who are rationing their insulin to keep their lights on.
That's right.
You should be ashamed to face your constituents who have lost their jobs in the coal mines with no alternative in sight.
That's right.
You should be ashamed to face your constituents with black lung disease who cannot afford their hospital bills.
That's right.
You should be ashamed to face your constituents who constantly go under boil water advisories because of C8 in our water.
That's right.
You should be ashamed to face your constituents who've been overprescribed prescription painkillers and have to jump through countless hoops to access harm reduction treatments that save their lives.
That's right.
You should be ashamed to face your constituents that only have a dying and a dirty coal plant to sustain their prosperity as a community. You should be ashamed because you have blood on your hands.
That's right.
As a constituent, I am deeply disappointed by our senator's failure to put the needs of West Virginians over the desires of his mega donors. But West Virginians are not surprised by this. Why? Because we have lived in a state that has allowed outside corporations to come in and strip us of our resources and our dignity time and time again. It began with timber, then coal, and now it is chemicals and opioids, and still coal. Not only coal, but entire mountaintops have been obliterated for the profit of non-West Virginians. We are not surprised, but we are deeply disappointed. An overwhelming majority of West Virginians supported the reforms in the Freedom to Vote Act and Build Back Better because they know we can't improve our state without making our politicians work for the people over corporations.
Yeah.
Senator Manchin, you have failed West Virginia. You chose to stand aside and chose the filibuster over passing legislation as our democracy, our land, and our economy crumbles. I will not give up on West Virginia like you have, and West Virginians will remember your obstruction when they go to the polls in 2024. And now I'm going to pass to our next speaker, Malik.
Hey, can everybody hear me? Hey everyone, my name is Malik Smith. I am 24 years old and I am from Institute and a former graduate of Marshall University. I am here to support the end of the Senate filibuster. Over the past year, I have canvassed throughout West Virginia, particularly in Huntington as well as Charleston. I have canvassed in support of voting rights as well as the reconciliation bill with investments to our state. The Senate filibuster has historically blocked legislation that has jeopardized civil rights for Americans, especially those who are the most impacted, especially the communities.
That's right.
With the filibuster being eliminated, it would ensure the passage of the Crown Act in the House, potentially start Roe versus Wade from being overturned, expand our access to affordable health care, expand the child tax credit, as well as passing legislation that will address our ever-growing climate crisis. I graduated Marshall University with a Bachelor's of Science in Civil Engineering and Modern Sociology. And I hope to use my expertise in the coming years to help assist West Virginia with the environment. To help assist West Virginia's environmental impact communities. All in all, I'm very happy to be here today to join this march. That's pretty much all I got.
And I'm going to pass to our next speaker, Kai.
How's everybody feeling? Are we going to let this rain stop us?
No!
Are we going to let this rain put out the fire for justice in our hearts? No, we are not. And we didn't let the snow stop us on Martin Luther King Jr. Day. We sat in the snow and the cold. And we understand that spirit of determination we need today.
Amen. That's right.
I'm here, and it's good to be back in the Mountain Mama. I'm born and raised in West Virginia. I currently live in Arizona, so I have a unique perspective on this moment in our country. As someone born in the state that Manchin represents, living where Kyrsten Sinema is. And I reflect this morning on something that the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said in 1960 at Spelman College. He said, "We are struggling to save the soul of America," at that time in the fight against Jim Crow segregation. He said, "We are struggling to save America at this very important, decisive hour in her history." And I believe that we are here in the same spirit today, struggling to save America. Because we understand that there is a crisis in our nation, in our planet. And we love our country, do we not?
Yeah.
We love this state of West Virginia, do we not?
Yeah.
And when you love something, you have to fight for it, yes?
Yeah.
And we understand that right now, our climate on this one precious planet that we have is in chaos. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the largest scientific project in the history of humankind, says we have 3 years in which greenhouse gas emissions have to peak and start coming down in order to stop catastrophic impacts of climate change. 3 years. Have we done anything in this Congress to do anything about that?
No.
No, we haven't, but we elected Democrats to do that. And we understand that our democracy is being assaulted at home and abroad. That the party of January 6th that used a lie and violence to try to overturn our election and put minority rule in place that's attacking the right to vote across the country, they're continuing that assault, and we need legislation to stop that. Do we not?
Yes.
And at the same time, we know working families in our country, in this state and across this land, are struggling still right now after this pandemic, when the billionaires gained over trillions of dollars of wealth, and so many essential workers, remember that term, essential workers?
Yeah.
So many went to work to keep this country going and died and left their children as orphans. And have we raised their wages?
No.
Have we done something to lift them up when prices are going up? But we need to, and that's what we elected Democrats to do. And Manchin and Sinema are standing in the way. They are putting their corporate donors and an abused Senate rule, the Jim Crow filibuster, ahead of our people, ahead of our democracy, and ahead of our planet. And we are here today to say no more.
No.
And we understand that when we are facing an emergency like this, that it's not enough just to tweet about it. It's not enough just to post on Facebook. It's not enough just to talk with our friends and say, this is messed up. Wouldn't it be nice if something changed? Is that enough? No, it's not. We have to be willing to struggle like our ancestors did. We have to be willing to sacrifice. And sometimes we have to disrupt business as usual, as Dr. King did, as John Lewis did, as Cesar Chavez did, as Dolores Huerta did, as the suffragettes did, as the sit-down strikers did. We, in this time, we have to block business as usual. We have to be willing to shut things down. We have to be willing to sacrifice. We have to be willing to say this injustice will not continue without me putting my body and my freedom and my heart and spirit in the way. Are y'all ready for that today? And so it's in that spirit that we say, just as the filibuster is blocking the change that we need, just as it is blocking a majority from governing as it should in a democracy, we are here today saying we will block business as usual too, to say that change cannot wait any longer. And if you agree, I want to ask you to join us. We're going to march, and we're going to act in this nonviolent tradition of good trouble. We're going to do so to say that it's time to end the filibuster and to save America. Say it with me. End the filibuster. Save America. End the filibuster. Save America. End the filibuster. Save America. Do it now. today. Do it now. Do it today. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you all so much. I believe we're going to be following Alex and having a march. So thank you all so much for coming out. Really appreciate it. Let's give another round of applause for all of our speakers. All right, this is our moment to shine, folks. Okay, we are going to start here at this giant statue, and we are going to walk down the Brawley Parkway. Let's stay as close together as possible. We don't want anyone left behind. And our folks that are holding the banner are going to lead us in the front, okay? Yeah. So we'll ask that Dominic and Riley get to the front by the statue.
Did you interview? Did you interview? What? Did you interview? Oh no, I'm not doing an interview. It's on TV.
democracy. They all want traffic. Now this is all what we want. When do we want it? They say they want it. What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? What do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? What do we want? These people do things. Hey, Joe, the filibuster has got to go. Hey, Joe, the filibuster has got to go. Hey, the filibuster has got to go. Hey, Joe, 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 the filibuster has got to go.
Walmart tripod, and then this piece, Amazon or something for about $10. The little phone holder. I think it is. In Charleston, West Virginia, there's a protest right now. The filibuster, they're protesting Senator Joe Manchin. And again, we are on Virginia Street in front of the Robert C. Byrd Courthouse in Charleston, West Virginia. This is live.
Your obstruction has got to go. Your obstruction has got to go. Your obstruction has got to go.
There's a protester directing traffic. Some to go another way. They're trying to get through, but the protesters blocking the traffic. We're in local in Charleston, West Virginia. And here comes Charleston Police.
reminds me of my home far away. Driving down the road, I get up here and said I took it home yesterday. Yesterday, country road, take me home to the place I'm alone. West Virginia, my home, take me home, country road, take me home to the place.
arrested some of the protesters. They're taken to the station, which is about a block and a half away from here. Okay, ma'am. When do we want it? This is a live TV. Please state your name. And please tell the viewers why you're here.
When do we want it? I'm tired of when do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want?
All right, thank you very much. Interview? Okay, come over here. For act.tv, please state your name.
Morgan King.
And please tell the viewers why you're here.
I'm here because I believe we need to end the filibuster in order to have meaningful climate action and avoid climate catastrophe.
All right. And what are your thoughts about Senator Manchin?
I believe he's got an opportunity to save millions of lives from the threat that is climate change, ensure that water scarcity doesn't threaten millions and millions of extra lives by following the science and guaranteeing that we reduce the emissions that we need to avoid climate catastrophe. I think he needs to act on that and serve West Virginians now.
All right, thank you. Let me see your sign. Can I hear you? Okay. Please state your name.
Francis.
Francis, okay. And where are you from?
Charleston, West Virginia.
All right. Please tell the viewers why you're here.
The filibuster is undemocratic. It was brought it to a time when the Senate was much smaller than it is. It's too big to substantiate the amount of debate that happens where it doesn't happen because they don't even have to do it. Either side on the right threatens to filibuster, and then nothing gets passed. The Senate's paralyzed, and when the laws don't progress, when society does, what's the point of having a Senate?
What do you want Senator Manchin to do?
Step down from office, resign, but mostly end the filibuster.
No, okay. Anything else you want to talk about?
No.
Thank you very much. Let me see your sign. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Oh, right. Thank you.
Rise up, be free. Take a stand for what you believe. Rise up, be free. Show the world how it can be.
All right. Looks like you're starting to disperse here. You crossed something out. There was a road that was blocked. traffic was blocked by protesters. Some were taken away in handcuffs to the police station by Charleston Police. We're located here in Charleston, West Virginia, on Virginia Street. This is a protest to Senator Manchin to end the filibuster. Thank you.